It's Juanita Coley, the founder of Solid Rock Consulting, where we help call centers implement technology, optimize the technology that they currently have in place, and build better workforce management teams. I want to welcome you to Call Center Chronicles. Call Center Chronicles is a place for CEOs, call center professionals, tech leaders, and yes, the customer, looking to have fun yet thought-provoking conversations around how we improve customer experiences and companies' bottom line. We are on a mission to normalize women in tech and workforce management leadership roles, and we believe that that starts with conversation. Welcome to Call Center Chronicles. Hey guys, it is Juanita Coley here. How are you? Welcome so much. Welcome. Come on in the room. I'm a little caught off guard this morning. I'm going to tell you that. We can see LinkedIn comments now. So I was in the background saying, oh, I can see LinkedIn comments. So that's where you hear my little hesitation coming in. That wasn't here before. So now we can see LinkedIn comments. So I don't have to be looking down at my phone to see you guys' comments. So I'm you can tell it doesn't take much, right? I'm super excited about that. We can see LinkedIn comments. Yay! So for those of you that are watching us live, let us know that you are here. You're watching us live. Let us know where you are watching from. And say hello in the audience. For those of you that are watching on replay squad, say something in the comments. Let me know that you were here. If there was anything that was beneficial, if there's something that you're like, I have a different opinion on that. You know, I love having conversations that make the brain tingle and move us to impact. So definitely leave me a comment. I tell people I was raised with all boys, so I'm not sensitive at all. I can take it. Trust me. So welcome to Call Center Chronicles. Thank you so much for joining us on season 2, episode 2. Listen, I'm super excited. So you guys know that I'm a techie, right? I've spent my career working in contact centers. So I started off, for those of you that don't know me, I'll introduce myself. Again, my name is Juanita Coley. I am the CEO and founder of Solid Rock Consulting. I started in the contact center because I was I started in the contact center. For those of you that don't know, I was a teen mom. So I'm super passionate about normalizing women in tech and leadership roles. That's my why, is because I say that technology saved my life, or it was one of the vehicles that was used to save my life. And I started off in the contact center as a phone rep, a call center rep. I picked up a book. It was called Blue Pumpkin. So it's a user manual for the system now known as Verint. So I'm kind of dating myself a little bit there. And so I picked up the book, super intrigued by it. And I said, you know what? I think I can do this. I had no idea what I was doing. Nevertheless, I convinced my supervisors and leadership to let me work in workforce management. So I got off the phone, started working in the workforce management department. And from there, the rest is history, right? I was bit by the workforce management bug. I went on to work in workforce management departments at companies like United Healthcare, Liberty Medical, Walgreens, you name it. I probably was there and helped build out call center operations and command centers in those organizations. I later moved over to the technology side because when working in the operations for these call centers, I wanted to really understand the technology that powered it all, because I was super intrigued by just all of the different moving parts in the workforce management department. And so I moved over to the technology side and worked for companies like Aspect and Verint, and really just became a SME in all things workforce management and the technology. When I moved over to the technology side, though, I saw that there was this huge user gap between how technology companies trained their solution between how companies actually use the solution. So I can always usually tell when I go into an organization if they were trained by a tech person, because they teach the technical terms and they teach how the solution is supposed to be used, right? As opposed to usually when we train the solution, we train it from a user perspective. How do I get the solution to do this particular thing? So again, whenever I went on that whole rant because I'm talking about these LinkedIn comments. So it's like, Juanita, why are you telling us this again? Because whenever I see technology that works for the people, I'm like, tech for the people, right? Which is, again, leads me into the topic of this show. We're talking today with the president of Nobel Biz, and I'm super, super excited. We're just going to bring him right on. His name is Steve. Steve, welcome to the show. Thank you so much for being with us here today. I'm super excited to have you. Steve, welcome.
Hey, Juanita, thanks for having me. I really enjoyed your introduction. It speaks a lot to my own experience, and really happy that you had me and we can chat about this and share some information that maybe the audience can, hopefully get some value from.
Yeah, absolutely. So we're going to hop right in because we usually have our guests say, oh, it's an hour. We have 45 minutes. And then we look up and we're like, wait, where did the time go? That's how these conversations go, Steve. So I'm not sure if you've seen any of the previous episodes, but that's how it usually happens here.
Hopefully I can offer the same information. Exciting.
Yeah. So tell me a little bit more about you and tell the audience about yourself.
Okay, well, I have been around a very long time. I have been a CEO in developing contact center technology since the late 90s. And I began with a company that most people are aware of called TouchStar Software, and became a CEO of a number of other similar companies. Today, and for many years, I am now the president of Nobel Biz. And we're a company that I really joined because of the nature and dynamics of the company, because we're a couple things. We're a carrier for one thing, which is a specific carrier for contact centers. So where a number of carriers are out there and they're providing voice and other services, they don't like the traffic. There's a lot of short duration calls. Well, Nobel Biz developed their carrier network, our carrier network, on the ideal of what the contact centers need. And then we overlaid it with software that is very specific to the customer service needs and contact rates and such. And today we have a really unique product called Omni Plus. Omni Plus it gives you the full media content so that you as an agent can speak to anybody any way they want to be spoken to.
Wow. So when you say speak to, wait, I'm gonna go into that in a minute. So then tell me a little bit more about like how does this particular product, when you say it works with how the customer, I forget the verbiage you actually use, but tell me how that all works together. Like how is that customer experience tying in?
Well, this industry, and you were explaining your own history, started with voice contact. Mm-hmm. And really that has been kind of the center of communication for many years, whether it's customer service or sales or telemarketing or surveying. It's always a voice-to-voice contact. And over the last really 15 years, there's been an effort to bring in other media channels. Like, can I also speak to you through, like we're talking, through video? Can I speak to you? Can I share chat? Can I do it through email? Now it's WhatsApp and Facebook, and you name it. Everybody has their choice of what makes them comfortable to communicate. So today we've pulled all of those medias to where we're somewhat agnostic about it, and it's a very simple use by the agent to be able to choose how do they want to communicate. So imagine that you may be, as an agent, speaking to somebody through chat and they want to join you on video, that you can just do it with a click, do that, and keep them contained within the same conversation. And then all the reporting and information resides in the same place. So what we've done is really, and a lot of companies have done this, and I'll explain to you what is unique about this particular offering, though. Many companies have it, as I say. I think it's really to what you said at your introduction. It's how do you use this technology? Because it either sounds really complicated, which it isn't, or it sounds unnecessary, to many organizations. And really the key with contact center is they're already using a platform. There are already tens, hundreds, thousands of agents using something, and switch and undermining their current day-to-day ability to perform is really the greatest risk in the world. It's too disruptive. So how do you implement this and optimize this so that it becomes something worthwhile is really the issue.
Yeah, and I think where that goes back to is, right, why we are seeing, and so I'm typically explaining this when I get customers that ask, well, what's the difference between call center and contact center? And usually I'm explaining it, in just the simplest terms as I can think, right? Is when we think about call centers, we just have that single channel of voice, right? Phone. Whereas with contact centers, we have those multiple interactions, multiple interaction types, right? Where it can be phone, it can be email, it can be chat, it can be social media, it can be fax, it can be the way that the customer wants to interact with the business. And not all channels make sense for every business type, right? But I think what really sets a business apart and sets the customer experience apart is being able to listen to the customer and then making sure that the technology layers on top of what that customer experience needs to be able to bring about that customer experience.
It's almost a key piece, I would say, is how do you find that customer? How do you find that prospect? Where are they? Depending on their generation and their own habits. The real key is, do they reside on Facebook? Do they prefer WhatsApp? Do they prefer voice? And when that happens, it's really a matter of finding them through their channel.
That is so good. Where does the customer reside, right? There's this funny, right? Like where the money resides, right? Well, where does the customer reside? And I think when we talk about where the customer resides, then we really understand the channels that we have to employ to be able to reach that customer. And then you said something else, right? You talked about age, right? Like it's all the different demographics that make up where that customer is going to reside. Depending on your particular customer, they may not be on Facebook. They may not be on social media at all, right? And so I think when I say tech for the people, like I think it's so namely for the show, when we talk about tech for the people, we have to think about diversity when even creating the technology. So when we talk about technology that allows us to employ options like voice, email, chat in a single interaction. So I'm talking to you on the phone and now you can send me a picture so that I can troubleshoot with you on what's happening. Well, that's likely going to be someone that has that level of even have a smartphone in the first place, right? If they're still on a flip phone, they may not even be able to take advantage of that. And if that's the majority of your demographic of your customer, that channel may not be as used as other channels. And so I think when we talk about tech for the people, we have to think about the demographic and make sure that we understand who our customer is so that we can bring them along the way with the technology that we're using in these centers.
Well, think about the rush for CX experience, and think about the idea that what are people doing? I mean, companies have always been providing a customer experience, so nothing new about that. And so what makes this different is the ideal of trying to find an approach that is consistent for the customer, not necessarily for the company contacting the customer, but where the customer is first. I'll tell you a story with NobleBiz because I think it's pertinent to this. Our customers are not the contact center customers. Our customers are the contact center. So for years in our industry, as companies have developed call center technology or contact center technology, what has happened is they've had software salespeople selling software to the contact center. And listen, when people were first implementing and they were new adopters, that seemed to work just fine because contact centers were looking for this technology. But now that all contact centers have already adopted their communications approach, and this technology now becomes an evolution for a company. Here's what we have discovered at NobleBiz. We started to say, look, there are 200 companies that do what we do in the world, exactly this, offering it as if it's a commodity. So what makes us not a commodity? What makes us different? If we have software salespeople and every other company does, and all we're doing is selling software, we're really not recognizing the contact center. We're really recognizing ourselves, and we're thinking self-centered. So here's what we did. We changed out our entire sales group to people that are coming to us without sales experience, but are all ex or retired directors of operations in contact centers. So the entire staff is a staff of people like yourself that have worked and optimized the organization of a contact center, have worked up from being agents to being floor supervisors, all the way to the different levels. They've bought from us. They've used us. They've been frustrated by us. And now we said, wait a minute, don't we care about our customer experience enough to be able to present what we have the way the speak is, not the way we want it necessarily. And it's really doing a marvelous job with the industry.
That is, you got the mind blown emoji, right? Like, I'm so extra. I have to have my extra things. Otherwise, I'll be tempted to interrupt you while you're speaking to applaud. So I do the emojis and the gem drops because that helps me to not interrupt. But so that's my trick. That's my live trick. But anyway, no, that is phenomenal, right? Because I think what you get with that, and you can keep me honest, you're employing this in the business, is by doing this and speaking to the pain points and speaking to what the customer, right, which is the contact center for you guys, their issues are. You're not just selling technology.
Right. Actually, technology is not the point.
That's the byproduct, right?
Yeah.
Because I understand, because you have people who were previous directors in their past life, or they are workforce consultants or call center directors, whatever, right? Whatever they were in the past life, other than salespeople, they are able to understand, which is what I do with technology when I'm training it, right? So when I go into a company and train it, yes, I understand the technical jargon, but that doesn't matter to my end user. They want to know how to create a shift bid. Like, how do I create a shift bid? I don't care about all the other pieces that you're talking about. And so we talk and we speak to that. And I think that's what you're accomplishing by doing your model of go to market with instead of hiring necessarily salespeople, but hiring people who understand the contact center operations as a whole.
And frankly, it's a big push internally. It creates an internal pressure in our company because our support people have been supporting the product for years, doing it well, but doing it the way as support people of technology would do it, not necessarily relating, to that customer. Technology like ours can cause great frustration. And
Yes.
agents like it, agents don't like it. They want what they've had, not what the executive management wants to bring in. So kind of the experience that hit us was this, is that executive management makes a decision. They'll go to trade shows, they'll talk to us, they'll get excited about all this great technology that we have, and we say it's really simple to use. But remember something, we're not contact center people. We think we are. We like to pretend that we are, but we're not. We're technology people. So all of a sudden, executive management and we agree we're going to implement this in your environment. But you have all layers of management and agents working and going, really? How the heck am I going to do this? How
And
am I going to do this?
who thought
Why
of
can't I
this?
do this? I'm already hitting my goals. There's a ton of pressure. Why and how would you even change it? So what we've done, one more step. We now have our what the industry calls sales engineers.
Mm-hmm.
And same people. So the sales engineers are not software people again. These are operators of contact centers. So they're going into a contact center and saying, look, let's talk about what this experience is. We get that you didn't choose this. We get that you're vetting products because your executive management said you should. So let's talk about how we can do this right. What's going on in your head? And then based on what's going on in their head, because the people we have are contact center people, they're speaking on that level. And listen, then what happens is they come back to our engineers, our implementers, and our support people, and they go, guys, you're just not doing it right. Okay, that's not okay. If I were the customer, which I have been, this is not okay. So we need to change our SOPs. And that's what's really happening.
Man, that is so great, because as I think about that, one of our missions here, Steve, is what we say is we want to annihilate the user adoption gap between technology and the user. And I think what you're doing is one of those ways, right? So instead of hiring salespeople, right, we have to make sales, right? Like let's not play like that's not a real thing.
Right.
The company has to make sales, or there is no company, right? So we understand that that's a real thing. We have to sell the technology. We have to sell services. But where I see the difference with Noble, right, is the framework is around the user experience and making sure that the end user understands what they're going to be using, how they're going to be using it, how it fits into their day-to-day interactions. And then we build around that. Very similar to
the contact center is providing a customer experience, either as a BPO, a service center, their own clients, however they do that. And we're saying we have the tools that can enhance that. But if we don't understand the customer, we're not providing to our own customers the right experience. Mm-hmm. So I think it needs to start with us. And by the way, the greatest fear in bringing this type of technology into play for a contact center, the greatest fear is how you implement it. And how do I do this without destroying my day, my performance, everything that I already go to work to do. And so who better to ask how to set up an implementation than not just the customer, but people in our shop that were the customer.
So one of my personal missions, you heard me mention this earlier, is to normalize women in technology and leadership roles. So I've been talking to tech companies and companies that are not tech companies, just the operations side of it, about their DE&I initiatives. This is a big initiative that companies are pushing. And I think some companies have the great motive and the great, they really want to corporate initiative to do so, yet they're kind of, they don't know where to start with this. So right. It's just a corporate initiative at the moment. And then we have other companies that I think are going down that path of how do we really implement a DE&I process, a program, a culture rather. And I think one of the things that you said that stuck out to me that tells me that this is along the lines of where you guys are thinking is that you have diversity in experience, right? So we're not just hiring salespeople, we're hiring people that have diverse backgrounds to help develop this solution, develop this process. How does that fit into, so I hear diversity of experience. How does that fit into diversity of maybe gender and race and different things like that? What are you guys', how do you fit that into your DE&I process?
Well, think about it. Our customer, their staff, the contact center staff in many ways today is remote. Okay, so now you have people work from home. You have people that are raising their children and need to be there and need to rush them off to school or to a doctor's appointment. But they need to work and they want to maintain their professional approach and they want to learn and they want to improve. And all of these people at home this allows a wider range of choice for contact centers and who they hire. So yeah, of course they're going to hire plenty of women. Of course they're not going to care what the race is. What they care about is the ability to communicate in any way they want to, using professionals to do it anywhere those professionals are. So the entire industry, if you think about it, is set up to create options or improvement in our social our examination of the social culture. I mean, you said it yourself that you said you were a young mother. And where could you find a job? You found a job in a contact center. And then through that experience, you moved up into management. And through that experience, you're now an independent business person. And really, a lot of people criticize contact centers. There's this world that if you tell somebody you're a contact center, or God forbid, selling the technology behind it, it's like, look, I just do this part. Listen, I'm not really the guy calling your house, and you're sort of hiding. But the truth is that it's a critical fiber of connectivity that is required in our society.
Absolutely.
And it allows for people of whether minorities or not of any way to be able to work together in a universal approach that connects all social beings.
That is so good. It is. And that is true, right? When we talk about, when we're talking about contact center, it does kind of get that bad rap, right? Oh, you work in a contact center? It's like,
I know.
It's like, oh, and it's like, and I'm on this mission, right, to really like make it fun and exciting and this thing that is super cool because, again, in my opinion, it was going through that journey that really, it was a vehicle that I believe God used to save my life, right? If I was a teen mom, think about it. How did most teen moms are, I'm not going to say most, but you see the story where, you're a teen mom, you have limited options, you don't finish school, you're on the system, you're on this and all of these different things. And if it had not been for being in the environment of the contact center and just being a naturally inquisitive person, being able to see, oh, you have the quality assurance department, you have this department, you have this department, you have workforce management, you have leader, it's so many different facets. Then you have the technologies of the, contact center. It was so many different places that I saw just opportunity that I could go into. And so I think a lot of times contact center gets a bad rap from a diversity perspective is because we do hire in at the entry level roles, but you don't see that same level at the leadership level, the ones that are making the decisions of what technology to bring in, or the ones that are making the decisions about what the D&I process is going to look like or program is going to look like. And I think that is because when you start out at that entry level, it's just such the agent experience can be so bad, right? That people are like, I'm not sticking around for this. I'm just going to get out of here, rather than companies make the agent experience good. And now they have a staff that's baked in that wants to go into the leadership roles. You think about Chick-fil-A, right? Employees that come in, right, at Chick-fil-A, they're given opportunities to go into leadership and own and franchise and all of those different things. And so they can see their succession plan. I think a lot of times in contact centers, agents can't see the succession plan because the agent experience is just so horrible, which is why one of the things that I say is at the core of the customer experience is the agent experience. You're not going to have a good customer experience if the agent experience is horrible.
The contact center, like any business, has to realize that they have internal customers too, and those customers are their staff. Our technology, as an example, is really important for the simple reason that it's easy to use, and through the ease of use, it doesn't create more hardship on the agent. And listen, without the agent, you don't have a contact center. Okay,
this is true.
Without management, you actually still have a contact center. So let's talk about where
that's good. Steve dropping all the gems today.
So I would tell you that we all say this, that have been for decades in this experience, that very few of us woke up one day and said, what are you going to be? And I'm going to be in a contact.
Right.
I want to be a doctor. I want to be a lawyer. I want to be in a contact center. No, I don't think that's exactly what happens. But we are in them. And then the truth of the matter is, I'm a student of business. And through this experience in contact centers, all those levels, it is incredibly complicated. It offers challenges on every single level. And those challenges are all timing challenges on top of production challenges. You have to do things now. And you have to coordinate a lot of activities and a lot of data and a lot of information. And I can't think of many other industries that offer the complexities, which means opportunities. So listen, I'm very old. So back in 1978, I was an agent, and that's where I began. And I was selling lawn care treatments and having to make 6 sales a day just to keep my job. And from that experience, I've learned business. Okay, I didn't learn business in school. I learned business in work. And through that, I took the opportunities that came, and I continued pushing and learning and moved, through the different positions. But anybody can do it, and it doesn't matter what color you are. It doesn't matter if you're a single parent. It doesn't matter except if you're good and you're in tune. But every opportunity is in contact centers. I love this industry because of it, and I hate the rap that society as a whole has about it, except for the fact that society as a whole without it would have nobody to communicate with on any level.
Tell me, you said something that just stuck out to me. I had to write it down. Complexity equals opportunity. And I think that's so true. While I think there are layers, right? So when we think about like the contact center and you have your agents, you have your leadership staff, you have the technology, you have implementation. It's so many different facets. Right. And in that chaos, or in that organized chaos rather, you have so many different opportunities. Yeah. How do you, as a leader in a contact center environment, sort through that, or help an agent sort through that, so that you can kind of help them career path? And I know we're on the technology side, but that question just kind of popped in my head. Like, I wonder if I wouldn't have been able to see the opportunity through all of the opportunity, would I have went through this path? Luckily I was, but it wasn't like there was someone in the contact center that said, hey, Juanita, this is an opportunity. I think you should go this path. It was just my own nature to be inquisitive.
Well, I think it's like any position. It's like anything in life. The individual, the agent, still has to be the one that's interested. They still have to be the driver of their own invention, per se. But they can also choose. Maybe that first job they took just because they needed a job. But if they came in serious and began to look around, and they may look around that contact center and say, I don't see any movement for myself in this contact center. So I'm going to get really good at what I do. And then I'm going to start selecting contact centers. Almost every contact center in the world is always hiring. We know that. Okay. So the opportunity for an agent, once they've established their confidence, is they actually get to choose who do they want to go work for. And with remote agents, they can choose companies all over the world. Now, once they make that choice, if they recognize they can make that choice, make the choice to companies that show that they have some movement, that show they have internal training systems, an internal university concept per se, and that they describe when they hire you what their career paths are. They talk career, not just the job. And for an agent, I would say go pick it. Go pick which one you want to work for, where you can find your approach to your career. I don't think that agents always realize, and oftentimes it's because by the time they get to be an agent, they've been beat up. And the truth of the matter is they're feeling beat up. But fine, go get your confidence, get excellent at the first level, which is your sales or communication or customer service. But then realize the future is in your own hands.
That is so good. So I heard you say, find your confidence and you can choose. And those are two very powerful thoughts. Find your confidence. And that's essentially, I hadn't even actually found my confidence. I just picked up the book. It was the Blue Pumpkin book. And I was like, man, this is super. I was just more so intrigued by it. Like, this is all the things that go into getting a phone call to me and scheduling me as an agent. Like, I was super intrigued by that. And so find your confidence and then you can choose. And that's so very true. Contact centers are always usually hiring because they have such a high turnover. And so you find those contact centers that identify or they mesh with your core values, which is one of the reasons that I loved United Healthcare, was because their core values meshed with my core values. And I was able to grow there. Even though I wasn't an agent at the time. I had moved into workforce management by the time I moved there, but still the point is the same. You can pick the companies, which is what I later started to do later in my career. I was like, I want to learn about this. I'm going to work at this company. I want to learn about this and develop this skill set. I'm going to go work at this company, which is why I moved over to the technology side, because I knew if I worked in technology, I would have the opportunity to go into multiple companies, right? Because I was the one that was implementing the software or the technology. And that's where I was able to see so many different ways that contact centers was leveraging workforce management, the discipline.
Yeah.
It's powerful.
Well, anyway, to be successful in a contact center, to get that first level of confidence is all about discipline, isn't it?
Yeah.
Think about how exciting it is that you actually get a job, your first job or the hardest job, the only job you can get, and it's one that teaches you the basis of everybody's success, which is discipline. You cannot do this just with good intentions, and you can't do it just because you have a good personality. You have to do it because you're so disciplined in the routines that equal success for an agent. And by the way, I heard something a little bit off the subject you just said. You said that at United Healthcare, you were the one implementing the technology, so we became your enemy, didn't we? We were the people with the technology.
So, and you know, man, this is so good. I can go on so many different paths with this conversation. Tell me, who's the ideal audience for Nobel?
Nobel Biz.
Nobel Biz.
our audience, I mean, in theory, if you look at this type of communication tool, it's anybody that communicates, right? I mean, what is a contact center system? It's really a glorified, it's a communications tool. You know, we used to have PBXs, then we brought in dialers, and then we began to build different channels on dialers, and then we wrapped them all into what we call today omni-channel, which is we don't care how you do it. But truly, our audience is any contact center, even as small as 20 seats and up to. We just closed a deal, in fact, on the African continent for 14,000 agents.
Wow.
And so, and by the way, that will
Congratulations.
take 3 years to implement. Actually even 4 years. But you know, we feel very lucky to do it. But on the same day that we signed that deal, and so much enthusiasm, we were equally excited because we also signed a 10-seat deal. And to us, it's anybody that needs to communicate and has their group of people, whatever volume that is for them, it's equally important. And for us, it's the same value, whether it was 14,000 or 10. And the value is another company chose us because they cared and they knew we cared, and they could trust us to work within their environment. I mean, the key with anything you do is find your providers that are willing to work in your environment, not force you to work in their model.
How does Nobel Biz connect with so what I consider Nobel Biz UCAS or CCAS?
Well, you would really be CCAS. I mean, we obviously do unify all of the communications, but and all of the data. But think of it this way: we're bringing in the specific CCAS tools. Okay, so you have those tools now, but a tool standing alone doesn't do much for you because all of your data is somewhere else. All of your scripting is somewhere else. All of your everything is somewhere else. Your order systems and on and on. So it's up to us to be really integrators. So think about our job at Noble Biz as not only are we developers of connection software or contact software, but we're really experts as integrators to whatever you're using. I said, let's learn how to work in your environment instead of forcing you to work in mine. My environment is just communication tools. And obviously it's a recognition that we have to integrate, but it's not forcing you to integrate to me. It's me finding a way to integrate to you, so you, on the day you chose us, you didn't change what you were doing. And a year later, once we've implemented, you get to still do what you're doing in your way, but enhanced with more ways to connect with people.
Yeah, being able to you allow the systems to do the heavy lifting for you.
But
What's
one other thing, one last thing. I would also say that for us, it's a really important piece that we are a carrier. Because as a carrier, we control all ends of the connectivity. So we control how do you, once you've passed a connection off from your contact center, how does it connect with your audience? That's us also. So not only do we literally control the cost side of it, which is an advantage to our customers, but we control the quality of it. So it isn't a company using our technology and maybe having a problem with voice quality and us saying, well, it's your provider, it's your carrier. We're the carrier. We don't get any outs. We have to be your solution all the way through the experience.
through and through? Yeah. That's impressive. Tell me, how does Nobel Biz, stay current with, like, this is what the rapidly changing customer requirements, again, social and integrating with all the different types of channels that a customer today could think of to be able to interact with the business. How do you stay current with that and stay an integrator?
Well, strategic circles are one thing with customer groups. Also working with like your company, people like yourself that are in the environment saying this is where things are going. But we also recognize that the industry as a whole, contact centers, are slow adopters. And it's natural they're going to be because it's such high volume activity and you don't want to disrupt that as you're making changes.
Absolutely.
So contact centers have looked at different things for years. I mean, we've been looking at back in 2003, I was doing multiple channels, not omni-channel, but multiple channels. So why is it taking so long till all of a sudden everybody's excited about it? It's taken so long because it's really something everybody likes, the bells and whistles, but they don't see how they may be able to implement it the next day in their operation. So they're going to be slow adopters, which gives us time to listen to the communities, whether it's strategic circles of the audience, the contact center, whether it's we do at Noble Biz our own series on podcasts, and we're talking to people on the contact center space. It's also bringing, as I said, our own staff into play, where now we're hiring people from contact centers instead of software companies. And we're listening to what they're saying. I mean, you can see future, obviously AI is an important piece, and it's really an important piece because contact centers see it as a way to distribute calls without being as dependent as they currently are on live agents. Mm-hmm. I mean, you're never going to replace the agent, but it gives them, many people want to communicate without a person. You know, they just want to do their transaction. Fine, that's there. And that's really coming into play now. But what's the next level and the next? You know, we're seeing robotic improvements and automation in companies. But remember, companies that are developers like us, it takes years to develop these things. Mm-hmm. So do I really want to be first generation developer? I don't. I want to see where the industry definitely is going. I want to see development having happened, meaning coding, meaning software designing. And then I want to see the best of the best, and I want to mimic it, and I want to improve upon the established approach to things. I don't think you need to be the most innovative. I don't think that's what people depend on. They need you to be safe. People hire Noble Biz because they know that they're really safe with us, and we're thinking about them. And you know, we always say a promise is a promise. You know, so keep it. You know, and really, that's our whole drive.
That's good. That's really good. I have so much to chew on from this conversation alone. Tell me, what's next for Noble Biz, and where can we find? I heard you mention about the podcast. Tell me where we can find more about that information.
Well, we have a podcast on, and you'll see it on LinkedIn. And it's we're now into our second year also, and we are talking to what we call heroes of the contact center. So based on our earlier conversation today, we've been talking about what a great place to really work, what great challenges it offers, and wonderful experience. And it's really tough, right? But the outside world doesn't look at contact centers as a wow factor. They accept us, but they don't look at it that way. So we know, you and I know, that there are a lot of heroes in this. There are a lot of people that are amazing people on every level, not just the leaders, but on every level. And we want to talk to them. And we just talk to them to say, what in the world got you here? How did you end up here? And I said earlier, nobody wakes up saying, I can't wait to spend the rest of my life in a contact center. But that this is the place they are, and we want to talk to them and see why is it good for them, you know, what's happening. So you can find that on our LinkedIn sites at Noble Biz, on obviously LinkedIn and Facebook, and we are constantly out there with information. Our belief is this: we don't do a lot of advertising about buy me, buy me, buy me. What we do is we feel the responsibility of providing education and leadership and quality information, so that kind of as a guide for people. Mm-hmm. And obviously we like them to think that, well, if we care that much, we might be a really good company to work for. Right. But That translation, is up to the audience. We're not forcing that on them.
Awesome. Oh, Steve, this was such a
Yeah.
great interview. Like, I've learned so much, and I'm super excited that you came on and you dropped so many nuggets. Like, you dropped so many nuggets. I love one of the things that stuck out to me the most, and I love this because this is why we even exist at Solid Rock Consulting, is that you say you hire, basically you hire the user.
Yeah, that's exactly what we do.
Yeah, that and I think again, you my mind blown emoji, right? I think that is amazing because when we hire the user, then we get diversity, we get better products, better services, because the user is going to tell you, it's like your children, right? Your children have no filter. They're going to tell you, Mom, you gained weight. Yeah, no, that hair color is not for you. Or, yeah, I really like that. But usually the children, they come for your life, So,
But I will have to say this, Juanita, it's taken me and our group. I was in this industry over 20 years of management, of C-level management, before it hit me that I shouldn't be selling this product with software salespeople. I should be talking about this product with people that have used this product. And it took me decades. So it can teach you that we don't know all the answers, and we're really far from perfection. But there's always something to learn.
Yeah, that's my absolute favorite. Like, that is my absolute favorite. I loved when you talked about complexity equals opportunities, and for the agent, finding their confidence, and they have the ability to choose. But I'm telling you, my absolute favorite is the fact that you guys hire the user. I think that's transformative. That's transformative thinking.
I mean, I'd feel good if some years down the road, everybody that does what we do is doing it the same way. We're not looking to be unique. We're looking to improve the value for the contact center. And it really requires all of my peers, the people I compete with, to do it the same way.
That's another gem. Another gem. Well, thank you so much, Steve. Hang out with me in the green room. I'm going to wrap this show. Again, I'm going to come to you in the green room in a little bit. I'm going to wrap the show up. Okay.
Great.
Thank you so much.
Everybody. Appreciate it.
All I can do is this, guys. Like, this is, I thank God for my production team giving me the emoji, right? Because then I don't have to even say nothing, Like, was that not phenomenal? Like, that was phenomenal. And the biggest thing, you guys just heard me say it, and I'm probably going to be saying this for weeks now, is that you have to hire the user, essentially, right? Like, if we really want to, on all fronts, right, make a better product, we want to normalize women in tech, we want to, all of these different initiatives. If we think from, if I hire the user's going to give me better technology. If I hire the user, that includes women right? That includes women. That includes, disabilities. That includes all these varying backgrounds of education. I think that's transformative. My words are limited right now because that gem alone by itself took the cake for me. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with us. Make sure that you go to the website. If you want to, for those of you that are catching this on replay, if you want to view the whole episode, you can view that on YouTube, LinkedIn, or wherever you're viewing it at right now. I'm sure you can catch the whole episode. And then make sure you meet us back here next week at 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, where we will have another hot show for you talking about call centers and how we improve the customer experiences and the agent experience as well. Thank you guys so much for tuning in with me today. I hope this was impactful. Bye.